Subpart G, gases, preparation, and packaging. Subpart G, gases, preparation, and packaging. 173, 300, reserve. 173, 301, general requirement, shipping with compressed gas, the other has material with the cylinder, UN pressure receptacles, electrical pressure vessels. General qualification using cylinders unless otherwise stated, the U with the section term some will include with the UN pressure receptacle with the some part filled with the chart with the beam with the introduction present with this has material within the cylinder. Cylinder filled with the glass 2 has with the material with the offer of the transportation must meet the requirements section 173, 301A through the 105. The applicable crystal compressed gases must UN pressure receptacle built in accordance with the UN standard for the metal with the cylinders contained within built in accordance with the ICC specifications part 178 subchapter within effect with the type of the manufacturer and type of the manufacturer CRC, CB, TC, CTC, TC specified requalified mark with the prescribed in December C of the part 180 of the subchapter if applicable to put you ICC, CRC, BTC, CTC, TCC specification authorized using the following, and then show the packaging list. The cylinder must be filled with the corn with the scrub, except for the TC cylinder must be filled with the corn with the transportation games, transportation dangerous good regulation. For each of the following cylinder meeting, the filling of the cylinder must be visually inspect the outside of the cylinder and have the creak or crack leak with all of the defect of the valve leaking, defect pressure relief device. There's evidence of physical fire heat damage of the detrimental rusting with the corrosion may not be filled with the transportation. Cylinder may be requalified only as prescribed subpart C of the part 180 subchapter 3. Pressure relief device must be tested as leak with the cylinder, shipped with the cylinder failing of the plant, especially forbidden with the repair with leakable fusible devices where leak through the fusible metal between the fusible metals and the opening with the plug body, except for the removal of the replacement of the pressure relief device. Some of the previously contained with the class 8 must be requalified in accordance with 18205. Even subchapter 1 cylinder is marked in pressure limit is best prescribed, and another cylinder may be used in the same specification. High marked presence of pressure limit authorized. For example, the cylinder marked with .4B 500 may be used with .4B 300 specified. No person may fill with the cylinder over due to the periodic requalification as material then offered to the transportation prohibition. Again, for the other offering a cylinder through the transportation is overdue, and periodic requalification does not apply to cylinder filled with the prior to the requalification due date. The cylinder with the authorized life may be offered the transportation conformance with the authorized surface that has private half of the cylinder and transportation cylinder file filled prior to the expiration authorized surface life of the transportation reprocessed for the disposal of the cylinder contents after the emptying of the cylinder may be contended according to 18205. The subchapter pressure for the hazard material with the 131 degrees Fahrenheit may not exceed the 5.25% of the surface of the pressure of the cylinder with the sufficient outage of the may be provided with the cylinder not exceeding 131 degrees Fahrenheit. Specification 2 B2Q, 3E, VH2, cylindrical, and 4BA, 4D, 4DA, 4DS, and 39 cylinders may be packed from the strong non-bulk outer packaging. Outside of the combination packaging may be marked indication of the inner packaging form of the prescribed specification. Person who solve the valve of the aluminum cylinder oxygen cylinders verify the valve of the cylinders having the same thread type. The cylinder markings of the way marking with the cylinder must be legible, not making applicable to requirements subpart C part 180 subchapter. Additional information may be marked. Cylinder provided, but it does not affect the required markings for the prescribed and applicable cylinder specification. Toxic gases, a mixture of cylinders containing the toxic gas mixture with the criteria of division 2-3 has its own A, B with the conform with the requirements of 17340 with the CGA 711 compliance. CGA 717 of the .39 cylinder, the UN non-refillable cylinder, UN composite cylinder, certified in ISO 111119 with the maybe with the toxic gas mixture meeting. The criteria of the division 2-3 has its own A and B. The gas capable to combine chemical with the flailing cylinder may contain any of the gas may be material capable of combining chemical with the cylinder, content with the cylinder, material with the construction of the engine, with the cylinder, reciprocal with the ownership with the cylinder, a cylinder with the very has with the material that may be not off the transportation, left the field with the owner with the cylinder, with the owner's consent. Pressure relief device system, except for the spray, may pick up the F1, F5 through F7 and J with the section 171.23A with the subchapter filled with the gas they offered with the transportation must be equipped with one more person relevant pressure for the leaf device for the select for the type of the location quantity tested in accordance with the TGA 7 S11 compliant with the paragraphs 91111 not required CGA paying for the 7171 S7 with the pressure relief device that must be capable of preventing rupture. Normally filled with the cylinder subject with the fire test conducted in accordance with the TGA C14 or in the case of the acetylene cylinder CGA C12 pressure relief devices when installed with must be communication vapor spray with the cylinder containing the division 2 1 flammable gas. The requirements does not apply with the dot specification 39 cylinders 1.2 liters with the less of the volume liquid petroleum with the methyl acetylene propylene mixture with the stable life propanol propane butane for specification 3A, 3A, 3AA, 3AL, 3AX, 3AXX, 3B, 3BN, 3T cylinders available with the gas and other division 2, except for the other oxidizing gas transported by aircraft. 173, 302A. F of the 304 F at the beginning of the first recall location of the December 2003. 3 with the birth of the pressure for the CG1, CG4, CG5 pressure relief of the device must be test pressure for the tolerance for the pressure 0 with the minus 10% of the additional 5% of the tolerance is allowed with a combination of the ruptured disc plate for the inside hole. The requirement does not apply. CG2, CG3, CG9 a thermally activated relief device. CG7 reclosing pressure valve is used on a cylinder. A pressure relief device is required. Over the dot, 39 cylinders over the cylinder filled with the pressure dot. 39 cylinders have liquefied division from 2-1, but must be equipped with a metal pressure relief device. Fusible pressure relief device not authorized in dot. 39 cylinders containing liquefied gas. The pressure relief device is not required. A cylinder of 12 inches or less in length with the exclusion of the next neck 4.5 inches or less outside the diameter, except for the cylinder filled with liquefied gas. The part requires surface pressure. The 1800 psi gauge are higher non-liquefied to a pressure of 1800 psi gauge or 70 degrees Fahrenheit. 70 degrees Fahrenheit cylinder with water capacity of 1,000 pounds filled with a non-liquefied pressure for the 300 psi gauge less than 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Expect with a 39 cylinder used as settling in solution cylinders containing class 3 or class 8 material without pressurization unless otherwise specified that has material UN pressure receptacle transported according to paragraph C, K, and L of the section. Pressure relief device is prohibited with the cylinder in division 2361 material hazard zone. A pressure relief device is not required with the down specification E1, E3E cylinder with a measuring up to 2 inches for the diameter with a 12 inch for the length of the following specified gases maximum weight: carbon, ethane, ethanol, hydrochlorine, anhydrous, monochloride, tetrafluoramine, methanol, nitro oxide, vinyl, fluoride stabilized. Maintain cylinders with a cylinder manifold with the authorized with the under condition prescribed in paragraph the G. The manifold cylinders must be supported with the held and together the unit of the by structural adequate means except Vision 226 material. The each of the cylinder must be equal with the individual shutoff valve of the must be the type of the code of the transfer the manifold with the branch line with the position flexible to prevent the damage of the valve that otherwise might be resulted from the use of the rigid branch lines. Each cylinder must be individually equipped with the pressure relief device over the required paragraph F of the section and the step of the pressure relief device of the manifold horizontal cylinders of the air mounted with the motor vehicle. The framework may be selected as the type of location quantity of the according with the lowest marked pressure with the limited with the individual cylinders manifold with the unit with the pressure relief device. The limit selected manifold unit must be have the testing according with the CGA S1 and CGA S7 pressure relief device. Manifold horizontal cylinder filled with the compressed gas must be arranged to discharge obtained obstruction open air with addition with the division 2-1 flammable gas material. The pressure relief devices must be arranged in discharge of upward prevent escaping with the gas that contains contacting personnel with the other adjacent cylinder with the valve pressure relief device manifold. Some of the compressed gas must be protected with the damage of the frame with the candidate. Other method of the manifold with the authorized cylinders containing the following gas: non-liquefied permanent with the compressed gas authorized 173.302, liquid control gas for the authorized 173.304. Each of the manifold cylinders containing the liquefied compressed gas must be separately filled with the mains for the provide with the ensure that the non-interchangeable cylinders content can occur during transportation. Settling authorized with the 173.303. Mobile settling trailers must have the maintain operated with the transport in accordance with the CGA CG16 for checking the tear weights of the replacing solvent for the cylinder to remove it from the manifold. The requirement of the not intended to prohibit the filling of the settling cylinders for the manifold. Cylinder valve protection. UN pressure receptacles must need the valve of the protection 178.301 B. Save the dot specification cylinder. The transport has material must be with the requirements specified in the paragraph H. Following specification cylinders are not shipped with the cylinder valve protection requirements. Paragraph H. The cylinder contained with the division 2 the material of the division 5-1 subsidiary hazards of the cylinder contained with the class A liquid corrosive only to metal. The cylinder water capacity of 293 inches cubed. Last of the containing the oxygen compressed. The cylinder containing the oxygen refrigerator liquid hydrogen liquid and medical E cylinder with a water capacity less than 4.9 liters. Less fire extinguisher. A B style cylinder with capacity of the 40 feet cubed or MC style containing with a capacity of 10 feet cubed containing the acetylene for cylinders manufactured before October 1st, 2007. Cylinder must have the valves protected with one of the following methods by equipping the cylinder with a securely attached with the metal plastic cap with the position shrink with the protective valve during the damage for the transportation. By box creating a cylinder with the protective valve of the damage during transportation by construction of the cylinder with the other valve that occurs after the cylinder is otherwise protected, which is not subject to the blow of the container that dropped off the last surface. By loading in cylinders in upright position, securely bracing the cylinder with the rail car motor vehicle when you load it with the consignee with the unload with the consignee. Cylinders manufactured in and on after October 1st, 2007. Each cylinder valve of the assembly must be sufficient strength with the protective that no leak to the curb of the cylinder head of the valve itself of the drop 6 feet more than the unyielding surface of the surface of the concrete steel impact with the valve assembly for the or protection device oriented most likely to cover the damaged cylinder valve assembly protection provided with any of the method meeting with the performance requirements paragraph H3 with the example include equipping of the cylinder with the securely attached metal cap of the metal cylinder with the body for the other strong outer pack to conform with the requirements of the 173.25 constructing cylinders such as the valve of the receptacle of the cylinder otherwise protected cylinders mounted in the motor vehicle or in frames. The MEGC conforms the specification requirements 173.312 of the specification of cylinders mounted on the motor vehicle within the frame that must be conform with the requirements specified in paragraph I. Seamless dot specification cylinders along within 6.5 feet authorized transportation only with a horizontal mount with the motor vehicle with the ISO framework of the for the framework the equivalent of the structural integrity with the corner of the CGA TB 25. Pressure relief device must be arranged with the discharge unobstructed open with the air with the additional division 2 when flammable gases. The pressure relief device must be arranged discharge upward prevention any escaping gap with the contact personnel with any of the adjacent cylinders. Alright, cylinders may not be transported with rail containing with the freight car over the trailer on freight car with the service except with the condition approved with the Associated Administrator Federal Railroad Administration non-specification cylinder domestic except with the provided in 171.12 of the A, 171.23A subchapter available with the cylinder manufactured other than DOT specification UN standard with the corner of the Part 178 subchapter of the DOT exemption special permanent cylinder with the cylinder U with the fire extinguisher in conformance to 173.309A may not be transported with the performance within the United States. Metal attachments. The cylinder have the rounded chamber to conform with the door be otherwise protected to prevent the likelihood they cause the damage puncture for the damage for the head of the material pack for the requirements of applying with the aim of the temporarily permanent tap of the cylinder of the metal skids. Cylinders made of aluminum alloy 63551 T6 of the dot 3AL cylinder manufactured aluminum alloy 6351 T6 may not be filled or offered for transported and pyrophoric gases in UN cylinders manufactured aluminum alloy 6351 T6 is prohibited. 173.301 additional general requirements of shipping of the specification cylinders. The requirements of this section additional requirements of 173.301 apply with the shipping with the gases specific cylinders. Attaching cylinders not marked with the surface of the pressure for the authorized cylinders marked with the surface of the pressure of the designated valves. 3 at surface pressure at 1800 gauge, 3E 1800 gauge, 8 at 250. Cylinder pressure at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The pressure for the cylinder at 70 degrees Fahrenheit may not exceed the surface pressure for the weight from the cylinders of the designated with the spec as provided with the 173.302A meet with a certain liquefied gas. The pressure for the 70 degrees Fahrenheit must be lower than the marked pressure surface pressure to avoid having the pressure of the temperature for the 131 degrees Fahrenheit with the greater than permanent cylinder pressure 131 degrees Fahrenheit. The pressure of the cylinder the 130 degrees Fahrenheit may not exceed 5 and a quarter with the time of surface except for cylinders filled with these acetone liquid nitrous oxide carbon dioxide. Cylinders filled with the cords 173.302A with the pressure for the cylinder 131 degrees Fahrenheit may not exceed the 5 and a quarter with the filling pressure for the 131 degrees Fahrenheit zone B, A and B with the material not exceed the pressure for the cylinder sufficient allowage must provide the cylinder with the non-liquefied at 131 degrees Fahrenheit. Grandfather clause of the cylinder domestic with the fire with the specification cylinder was of the first may be the effect of the may be used in cylinder properly tested otherwise conform with the requirements applicable to the gas of which the chart of the 173.301B additional general requirements for shipment of the UN pressure receptacles general requirements section in addition with the requirements of part 173.301 to apply the shipment of the UN pressure receptacle including the closure must conform with the design construction inspection testing requirements specified in the part 178A180 the subchapter applicable bundle of the cylinder must be conform with the requirements of 178.70E of the subchapter the UN pressure receptacle may not be filled off with the transportation damage to the extent with the integrity of UN pressure receptacle surface equipment may be effective with the prior film with the surface of the must be examined with the found with a good working condition C178 70 with the D with a subchapter addition with required markings must be legible and pressure receptacles. The gas of the mixture is compatible with the UN pressure receptacle valve with material prescribed material ISO 111114 2012 EYBR with the subchapter of the non-metallic materials ISO 111142 and 2003 refillable UN pressure receptacles may not be filled with the gas or gas mixture different with the pressure contained with the UN pressure for the receptacle using necessary operation chamber the gas that have the performed according to the ISO 11621. Stronger outer packaging as described in this example is provided in paragraph C24 and D1 with the section UN pressure receptacle must protect to prevent movement unless otherwise specified the part more than UN pressure receptacles may be included with the stronger outer packaging. The visual shut off of the pressure relief device except for the division 2 permanent gap of the UN pressure receptacle must be equipped with the individual shut-off valve that must be tightly closed while in transit with the UN pressure receptacle must be the individual equipped with the pressure relief of the device that is prescribed 173.301F of the except for the pressure relief device at the bottom of the cylinder of the manufactured handle. The cylinder must have the set of the two discharge pressure based on low marked pressure over the cylinder bundle of the manifold unit. Pressure relief valve of the receptacle with the valve. The use of the valve with the prescribed valve must conform with the Quanta ISO 10297 in 2014 until December 31st, 2020. The manufacturer valve conforming with the Quanta ISO 10297 in 2006 E of the authorized until December 31st, 2008. The manufacturer valve conforming with the Quanta ISO 10297 1999 E. The UN pressure receptacle must have the valve with the protective of the damage of the cover that inadvertently relieve the contents UN pressure receptacle one following method. By construction of the pressure receptacle with the valve that recessed inside of the neck of the UN pressure receptacle protected with the thread of the plug of the cap. Equipped with the UN pressure receptacle valve cap with the conform with the Quanta ISO 11117 2008 technical core addendum until December 1st, 2014, manufacturer valve with conforming Quanta ISO 11117 1998 and authorized with the cap of the vent hole with the position cross-sectional air with the evacuate with the gas and leakage of the curve of the valve. By protecting the valve with the shroud with the guard with the conforming with the Quanta ISO 1117 2008 the technical core and until December 31st, 2014, manufacturer shrouded guard with the conforming with the Quanta ISO 11117 1998 is authorized metal hard drive storage system protecting the valve with the corners with the Quanta ISO 16 and 111 2008 by using the valve design construction sufficient and adhere with the strength of the withstand the damage in accordance with the Annex B ISO 10297 and enclosing the UN pressure receptacle with the frame and bundle with the cylinders, packaging the UN pressure receptacle stronger outer packaging such as box crate capable of meeting the drop test specified in 178.603 with the subtexture packaging group 1 performance level. Non-refillable UN receptacle with the valve with the prescribed valve must conform with the Quanta ISO 13340 IBR international the receptacles must be transported in packaging with the combination packaging. The receptacles must have the water capacity 19 to 1.25 liters. You the inflammable with oxygen gas of 50 liters. The receptacle you contain chemical load chemical under pressure. Receptacle that has some of the material with the pyrophoric gas at the unpressure. The receptacle must have the valve with the outlet. Hook with the gas type plug with the cap to the pyrophoric flame to make sure the gas containing more than 1% pyrophoric compound with the UN pressure receptacle manifold with the commando with the extreme the pressure for the receptacle must be equipped with the indicated visual but must be closed while the transportation outlet the manifold valve must be equipped with the pressure retaining gas of the type of the plug with the gas type plugs cap that must have the match for those of the valve outlets hydrogen bearing gap the seal UN pressure receptacle bearing with the H mark. It must be the hydrogen-bearing gases, other embrittlement, gap with the potential cover and hydrogen embrittlement. Composite cylinders in the underwater with the composite cylinder certified in ISO 111192, ISO 11193 may not be used in underwater application unless cylinders manufactured in accordance with the requirements under water. They're used under marked UW for the prescribed in 178.71 Q18.1 of this chapter. All right, 173.302 for the filling of the cylinder with the non-liquefied permanent compressed gases that are absorbed gas. The general requirement cylinder filled with the non-liquefied compressed gas except this gas in solution must be off the transportation according to the requirements of section 173.301. Just like the gas specification cylinders must meet the requirements of 173.301A, 302A, 305 as applicable. The UN pressure of the receptacle must be with the requirements of 173.301B, 302B as applicable. With more than one section applied with the cylinder must restrict with the requirements that must be filled with the absorbent gas. The cylinder filled with the absorbent gas must be offered the transportation in accordance with the requirements of paragraph D of the section 173, 301, 302 G. But the UN cylinder must meet with the requirements of 173, 301B with 302B. Applicable to more than one section applied, but the cylinder must restricted with the requirements must be filled with aluminum. Cylinder's oxygen served with the aluminum cylinder filled with the oxygen must meet with the following conditions. Metallic portion of the valve may come in contact with the oxygen. And the cylinder must meet with the construction of the brass with the stainless steel. The cap of the UN cylinder sheath, the cylinder opening with the must configure with the straight threads. Only the UN pressure receptacle must be cleaned in accordance with the requirements of ISO 1162.1. Each dot cylinder must be cleaned in accordance with the requirements of GSA Federal Specification RRC 901D, paragraph 331332. Cleaning agents equivalent to the specified in the Federal Specification RRC 901D may be provided. I did not react with the oxygen. One cylinder select with the random with the group with the 200 fewer of the McLean at the same time must be tested with contamination in accordance with federal specification or RC 901D paragraph 432 with the specification standards. Cleanliness and pressure for each of the cylinder not exceeding 300 psi gauge not within the provision 173.24B1 paragraph F of the section authorized cylinder with the containing oxygen continuous valve of the tank with the containing live fish may be offered with the transportation of the transported. So shipment of the Division 2-1 material, the aluminum cylinder, the authorized transportation only motor, vehicle, rail car, cargo only aircraft, 3A1, 3A11, AL cylinders manufactured for the 6351T6 aluminum alloy. Suitable safety safeguards should be provided to protect the personal facility. Should be failure with filling of the cylinders manufactured aluminum alloy 6351T6 with a self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. Self-contained breathing apparatus or oxygen and surface of the cylinder filled should allow only the individual's essential filling process to be sending the cylinder during the process. Hard compressed oxygen oxidizing gasoline aircraft. The cylinder containing the oxygen compressed gasoline oxidizing nitrogen and tetrafluoride authorized for the transportation aircraft when it meets the following requirements. On that specification 3A, 3AA, 3AL, 3E, 3HU, 339 cylinder 4E and fill 2. Less than 200 psi gauge of 70 degrees Fahrenheit under pressure reciprocal ISO 9809, ISO 98092, ISO 98093, ISO 7866 cylinders are authorized. Cylinders must be equipped with a pressure relief device in Form 173301 F with the top 39 cylinders off of the transportation, either October 1st, 2008, other DAS specification cylinders, first qualification due with the after 1st, 2008 with the UN pressure receptacle pressure initial use, rated burst pressure for the rupture diff, the 3A, 3AA, 3AL, 3E, 39 cylinder UN pressure receptacle ISO 98091, 98092, 98093, and ISO 7866 cylinders must be 100% of the cylinder minimum testing pressure tolerance plus 0 to 10%. Rated pressure for the rupture diff, the 3H2 with the cylinder must be 90% of the cylinder meets the pressure for the tolerance plus 0. The 10% of the cylinder must be played with the rigid outer packaging that conforms to the requirements of either part 178 subpart L. The MEM, packaging group 1 and 2 with the performance level of the performance criteria transportation association specification number 300 category 1 shipping containers is capable of the passing damage design testing flammable penetration resistant test appendix E with the part 178 subchapter prior to each of the shipment path. The visual inspection verifies that all the feature packaging are in good condition, including all the latches, hinges, seams, and other features of the packaging and free from preparation, crack, dents, and abrasion. The net may be negatively affected with flammable penetration resistance, thermal resistance, or character of the packaging. Cylinder and outer packaging must be capable of passing the demonstrate the design testing thermal resistance specified in appendix D with the part 178 with the subchapter. The cylinder and outer packaging must be made more than and labeled in accordance with 172 subpart D with the E with the subchapter in the addition mark of the DAT 31 FP with the lab with the indicating cylinder with the outer packaging applicable capable of possessing the demonstrate the design testing thermal resistance test specified in appendix D with the part 178 subchapter. The cylinder compressed oxygen with the furnished for the aircraft with the operator and passenger in accordance with Title 14 CFR for 121.574, 125.219, 135.991, except for the other packaging requirements paragraph F3 of the section. 173.02 with additional requirements. The shipment of man liquefied permanent with the permanent compressed gas with the specification cylinder. Our detailed firing requirements, not liquefied and compressed gas except for the gas solution filling requirements are not specifically prescribed in 173.304A, but must be shipped in subject requirements in the section 173A, 301, 301A, 302, 305, and the specification cylinders follow that 3, 3A, 3AA, 3AL, 3B, 3B, 3E, 3, 4B, 4BA, 4BW, 4E cylinders. 3HG cylinders, the cylinder of the authorized aircraft, the only with the non-flexible with the gap with the minimum surface life of the 24 year of the day, but the manufacturer cylinder must be equipped with tangible disc. The pressure relief device that meets the requirements of 173.301 F. Each of the tangible disc must be rated bursting pressure for 90% of the minimum required test pressure for the cylinder. For the fusible metal backing with the not permitted specification 3HG cylinder may be up for the transportation only packaged in accordance with 173.301A9. 39 cylinders when the cylinder is filled with the Division 2-1 for the internal volume of the cylinder not exceeding 75 inches cubed, 50 liters of the chemical under pressure. 3A, 3AX, 3T cylinder authorized Division 2122 with the tube of the carbon monoxide. 3T cylinder not authorized hydrogen U. The methane surface of methane must be liquefied gas. Minimum purity of 98% of the methane with the commercially with the free corroding components. The aluminum cylinder manufacturer conforms the specification. 39 3A, L, and 4E authorized for the oxygen under the conditions specified in 173.302E. B. .4E cylinders with .4E cylinders with a maximum capacity of 43 or 11 gallons must have the minimum rating of 240 psi gauge filled with not more than 200 psi gauge 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Special filling limits for the .3A, 3AX, 3AA, 3AX, 3T cylinder. The .3A, 3AX, 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 3T cylinder must be filled with compressed gas or other liquefied dissolved Division 2-1. 2-3 with the gases to pressure 10% except for the marks over the pressure for the provided cylinder is equipped with a tangible disc pressure relief device without fusible metal backing with the bursting pressure for the next with the minimum prescribed test pressure cylinder elastic expansion for the determine the time of the testing and retest of the water jack, the math of the either the average of the wall strength of the minimum wall strength that does not exceed the wall within the stress limitation shown in the following table. The average of the wall stress must be computed with this elastic expansion is such for the following as wall stress of the pounds per square inch is equal to 1.77 times E. And then the maximum, the formula is paragraph in B311, section derived in formula paragraph 32 for the selection is following. Complying with the average stress limitation to determine the computing and the elastic expansion rejection limit of the according with the CGA-C5 of the reference data tabulated CG-C5 of the manufacturer margin elastic expansion rejection limit on the cylinder. External internal visual examination time of the test of the retest of the cylinder with the free with the excessive corrosion, pitting of the dangerous facts plus sign the additional following of the test date of the marking the cylinders indicating compliance with the paragraph B2, B3, B4. The section specification limited for the .3A, 3AX, 3A, 3AX cylinder containment division 2-1 except for the transportation aircraft. The Dow specification 3A, 3AX, 3A, 3AX cylinders may be filled with a hydrogen mixture with the hydrogen, helium, argon, and nitrogen pressure 10% of the except for the metric surface pressure subject to the following additional cylinders must conform with the requirements paragraph B2 of the B. Through the section cylinder was manufactured after December the 31st, 1945. Thus, specification 3A, 3AX cylinder was limited with the having of the intermediate manganese composition. Cylinders with the manufacture with the intermediate magnesium steel will have been normalized non quenching temperature, treatment of the intermediate steel with this authorized cylinder manufactured chrome moly steel must have the main quenching temperature not normally with normalized chrome and the moly steel cylinders is not permitted. Cylinders must be equipped with pressure relief devices as follows. Cylinders less than 65 inches in length must be equipped with fusible metal with the made back frangible disc device. Our cylinder 65 inches greater length with a 9.63 inches with the diameter larger more be equipped with fusible metal back for the frangible disc device. With the frangible disc device with the cylinder's diameter of the 22 inches large must be equipped with the frangible disc device. Carbon monoxide must be offered with the .3, 3A, 3AX, 3A, 3A. AX, 3AL, and 3E, 3T. Cylinder have the minimum surface with the pressure for the 1800 psi gauge. Pressure for the steel does not exceed the 100 psi gauge at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Simply as the glass itself for the free with the cylinder may be filled with 5/6 of the cylinder surface at 200 psi gauge. Whichever level the 3AL, the cylinder may be filled with the reduction surface pressure. .3AL cylinders is authorized only with the transport motor vehicle to be rail car with the cargo handling of the aircraft. Diaborane mixture of the diaborane mixture with compatible with the compressed gas. It must be .3AL 1800 3A 1800 cylinder maximum filling density of the diaborane may not exceed 7% of the diaborane mixed with compatible with the compressed gas. Maybe have the pressure exceeding the surface pressure of the cylinder complete with the decomposition diaborane occur with the cylinder valve assemblies must be protected in accordance with 173.301H. Fluorine must be shipped within specification 3A 1000 3A 1000 3B and 400 cylinders without pressure relief devices equipped with the valve with the protection gas. The cylinder may not have been charged with 400 psi gauge at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. May not contain over 2.7 kilograms of gas. All right, 173.302 B with additional requirement for the shipment of non-liquefied permanent compressed gas. The UN receptacle general cylinder filled with non-liquefied gas must be offered to transportation. UN receptacle was subject for the requirements of section of the 173.302 with additional requirements 173.301B must meet UN pressure receptacle filling with the UN pressure receptacle authorized for the transportation of non-liquid compressed gas in specified section except for the filling with the limits specified specifically prescribed within the section of the following compressed for the UN pressure receptacle may exceed the 2/3 of the test pressure receptacle alternatively fill limits of the specified non-liquefied gas at the table 1P200 with UN recommendations and or authorized in no case the internal pressure of the 149 degrees except for the test pressure. Fluorine compressed with UN 1045 and oxygen difluoride compressed with UN 2190 with fluorine compressed and oxygen defluoride compressed packages with the UN pressure receptacle with minimum test pressure of the 200 bar maximum working pressure not exceeding 30 bar on UN pressure receptacle made of aluminum alloy not authorized UN maximum quantity of the gas authorized in UN pressure receptacle to 5 kilograms. Diaborane mixtures UN 1911 diaborane mixtures must be packaged to the UN pressure receptacle with a minimum testing pressure of 250 bar maximum filling ratio. Depending on the test pressure not exceeding 700, so the filling should be further limited so complete with the decomposition diaborane occur with the pressure of the diaborane mixtures will not exceed the working pressure for the cylinder with the UN 10 tube of the MEGC is not authorized carbon monoxide compressed with the UN 1016. The carbon monoxide compressed authorized UN pressure receptacle held pressure with the seated steel pressure for the containment of the carbon monoxide not exceeding 1/3 of the pressure receptacle with a test pressure of 149 degrees Fahrenheit. Receptive with the gas to drive the cell fluid with the cell pressure for the not exceeding 1/2 of the market test pressure. All right, 173.302C with additional Quantum of the ship absorb the gap of the UN pressure for the cylinder with the absorb the gap of the ship, the alpha with the transportation UN receptacle with the subsequent requirements section 173.302 with the 173.301 173.301B with the pressure for the each field with the cylinder might have the least must be less than 101.3 kilopascals joined with the degrees Celsius, degrees must 150 degrees Celsius, 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Minimum test pressure of the cylinder must be 21 or the most pressure of the cylinder must be 94.5 bars. Internal pressure of the 140 degrees filled with the cylinder. 96 with the test pressure of the cylinder. Absorbent material of the must be compatible with the cylinder must not be conformed with the harmful danger of the compatible with the gap of the absorbent additional gas in combination with the absorbent material must effectively not effectively weakening the cylinder with the cover of the dangerous reaction catalyzation reaction. The quality of absorbent material must be verified at the time of each of the fill with the assure of the pressure for the chemical stability requirement of the section each of the time of the absorbent the packaging is off with the transportation. Absorbent material must not meet the definition any, but it has cylinder closure containing the toxic gas LC50 less than equal to 200 millimeters at meters 3. Must meet the following requirements. Valve outlets must be filled with the pressure retaining gas fit plug with the cap having the threads matching those of the valve outlets. Each valve must be either the package elastic with the non-perforated diaphragm, either the type of the vent leakage of the patch packaging. Each cylinder of the closure must be tested with the leakage or filling. Each valve must be capable of withstanding the test pressure of the cylinder directly connect with the cylinder with each tab thread with the mean for the requirements of ISO 106922. And cylinders of the valves must be fitted with the pressure relief device. Valve outlet cylinder with the containing with the pyrophoric gases must be fitted with the gas type plug with the caps, threads matching those of the valve outlets. The filing procedure must be in accordance with the Annex A of the ISO 1153-1 The maximum period with the periodic requalification must be in accordance with 180-207C subchapter. Alright, 173.303 charging the cylinder with compressed gas in solution. Cylinder filled with solvent requirements to refer to the applicable parts of the specification 8 and 8AL. Settling gas may be specified. Shipped in the specification 8AL. Cylinder shell with the condenses. Metal sheet shell filled with the porous material. The material must be contained with charged with the suitable solvent. Cylinders containing the porous material with the solvent and air shall be successfully tested in accordance with the CGA C12. Represented with the gas sample of the cylinder charged with acetylene with the most successfully tested in accordance with the CGA C12. Alright, filing data. For the data specification, cylinder pressure for the cylinder is containing acetylene with the gas nitrogen, 250 psi gauge, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Cylinders are marked with lower allowable charging the pressure for 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Pressure must exceed UN cylinder with the pressure of some of the not exceeding the limit specified at 173.304 Data requirements of the filler and solve the cylinders containing the acetylene with the gas must be shipped enough with the consistent with the other one of the person from the company with have the possession of the complete information, nature of the filling with the kind of the quantity of the solvent and cylinder, the meaning of the such conversion, marking of the cylinder prescribed in the department of the regulation specification plan with containing the transportation settling gas. Verification of the containing pressure each day with the pressure of the containing of the representative of the day with the pressure marked must be marked checked with the charging plant after the container cooled and settled temperature with the record with the test case with at least 30 days. The pre-fill requirements before each of the filling with a settling cylinder. The person filling the cylinder must be visually inspected outside of the cylinder according to the pre-fill requirements containing the CGA 13 Section 3. UN cylinders bundled with the cylinders are authorized with the transport settling with the gas of the specified section. Each UN acetylene cylinders must conform with the ISO 38072-2013 and have the homogeneous monolithic porous mass filler with the charge of the acetylene with the solvent suitable solvent specified in standard. UN acetylene cylinders must have the minimum test pressure of 52 bar may be filled with the pressure limit specified in ISO 38072-2013. Use of the UN table of MEGC is not authorized until December 31st, 2020. Cylinders conform with one's ISO 3807-2 with the C171-7 subject have the homogeneous monolithic porous filler with the chart with the acetylene with the suitable solvent specified in the chamber. The unauthorized UN acetylene with the cylinder must have the minimum test pressure of 52 bar may be filled with the pressure limit specified ISO 38072-E with the UN cylinders equipped with the pressure relief device that are manifold together must be transported upright. Alright, 173.304 filling with the cylinder with the liquefied compressed gas. The gas in general requirements of the cylinder with the liquefied compressed gas except for the gas within solution must be offered the transportation according with the requirements of the section. General requirements of 173.301 additional to the down specification cylinder meet the requirements of 173.301A, 304A, 305 of the applicable. The UN pressure receptacle must be shipped in accordance with the requirements of that 173.301B with the 10304 applicable. The dot 3A with the 3A cylinder must meet the use of the material of the primary subsidiary have the class 8 shipment of the division 2-1 with material aluminum cylinder authorized but only with the transported motor vehicle, the rail car with the cargo only aircraft. bottling limits for the external, except for the carbon dioxide, difluoroethanol with vinyl fluoride inhibited with the liquid proportion. Liquid gases may not completely fill with the packaging with a temperature for the up to the including 131 degrees Fahrenheit. Liquid proportion of the vinyl fluoride inhabited with the completely filled with the cylinder at 131 degrees Fahrenheit, provided the pressure at critical temperature does not exceed the 1.25 time of the strip of the pressure of the cylinder. Mixture with the compressed gas out of the material. The mixture compressed gas must be shipped in accordance with 173.305. Refrigerating dispersing gas is non-taxable, non-flammable refrigerant. Dispersing gas from the offered with the transportation cylinder prescribed 173.304A with the subchapter .2P, 2Q, 2Q1 containers. .2P, 2Q, 2Q1 containers must be packed in stronger out packaging certificate design protect product valve with damage for the accident functioning under the conditions of incident transportation. .2P, 2Q containers pressure inside of the containers not exceeding 87 psi. For 2QP container, the pressure inside of the containers may exceed 210 psi gauge. 131 degrees Fahrenheit. Each completed metal container filled with the shipment amount be saved within the content of the minimum temperature of 131 degrees Fahrenheit without evidently distortion of the other packs each other. Packages must plainly marked with the inside of the containers and comply with the prescribed specifications of the engine, the starting fuel, the engine starting fluid containing flammable compressed gases must be shipped in the cylinder prescribed in 173.304A with the file with the inside of the refillable metal containers have the capacity no greater than 500 millimeters. The container must be strong enough tight. The outer packs with the pressure in the container not exceeding 140 psi at 130 degrees Fahrenheit. The pressure exceeding 140 psi with 130 degrees Fahrenheit. .2P with the container must be either capable of the metal container must be capable of withstanding without the bursting of pressure at 1.5 times the pressure with the content of 130 degrees Fahrenheit. The liquid cannot contact material. The gas must not be completely filled with the container at 130 degrees Fahrenheit. With the container filled with the shipping must have the heated until the content of the minimum of the temperature at 130 degrees Fahrenheit without evidence of the leaking, distortion, or other defect. Each of the outside shipping container must be plainly marked inside of the containers comply with the prescribed specification. Reserved. 2 is reserved. Oxidizing gas of the aircraft. The cylinder contained with the carbon dioxide, oxygen mixture with compressed liquefied gas, oxidizing nitric oxide authorized transportation aircraft only when it meets the following requirement: only the DOT specification 3A, 3AA, 3AL, 3E, 3H2, 39 cylinder unit pressure receptacle ISO 98091 ISO 98092 90809 and then ISO 7866 cylinders. Cylinders must be equipped with the pressure relief in accordance with the 173.301 F of the DOT 39 cylinders offered with the transportation effective with the after October 1st 2008 with the other DOT specification cylinder for the first requalification due to the October 1st 2008 with the UN pressure receptacle prior with the initial leave the rated burst of the rupture diff of the DOT 3A, 3AA, 3AL, 3E with the 39 cylinders. The unit pressure receptacle ISO 98092 with the 93 with the 7866. Cylinders must equal to 1% of the cylinder minimum test pressure with an tolerance plus 0 with a minimum 10% of the rated pressure for the rupture diff of the 3HT. Cylinder must be 90% of the cylinder minimum test pressure and test tolerance for the plus 0 with a minimum 10% of the cylinder must be played within the rigid outer pack to conform with the quantities of the either part 178 subpart M of the subchapter package in group 1 and 2 and performance level of the performance criteria air transportation association specification N300 for the category 1 shipping containers. Is patent capable?
Are you okay with potato soup?
Yeah.
You're okay with it?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Make potato soup.
Specification 3 on the category 1 shipping is capable of testing and demonstrate with the patent design of the testing of the flammable penetration resistant testing of the appendix E with the part 178 subchapter. Prior to shipment, half of the visual inspection verifies all the features of the packaging are with good condition, including all the hitches and seam of the other feature of the packaging free with the evaporation, drag dense. Other abrasion may negatively affect the flame penetration resistant, thermal resistant character of the container. The cylinder outer packaging must meet the capable of passing the demonstrated design testing. The thermal resistance testing specified in the appendix D of the part 178 subchapter. The cylinder outer packaging must be marked with the label in accordance with 172 subpart D with the E subchapter additional marking .31 FB without indicating cylinders with the outer packaging capable of passing the demonstrated design testing. Thermal resistance specified in the appendix D of the part 178 subchapter. A cylinder with the compressed oxygen of the furnace with the aircraft of the operator passing in accordance with Title 45 CFR. Title 14 CFR 121, 574, 125, 219, 135, 91. Except the outer packaging requirements of paragraph 5. F3 of this section. 173.304 additional requirement of shipment of liquefied compressed gas with the specification cylinder detail the filling requirement of liquefied gas except for the gas solution must be authorized transportation requirement to section 173.301, 304 for the specification cylinders as follows. .38 3 3A, 3AA, 3AL, 3B, 3BN, 3E, 4B, 4BA, 4B, 240, ET, 4B, WE, 4E, 39, except for the dot, 4E, 39 packaging may be filled with a ship with a mixture containing pyrophoric liquid, carbon, sulfide, disulfide, ethanol chloride, ethanol oxide, nickel coat, combaryl, spirit of the nitroglycerin, the toxic material for the reason 6123 with the unless specifically authorized to depart for the gas name and the following correct ones that are over the cryogenic liquids 173, 316. Then it goes over some more charts. Alright, reserve verification content cylinders except what they contain in the paragraph D4 with the section amount of the liquefied with the gas filled with the gas cylinder that must be meet with the way with the gas lower than the pressure required liquefaction, pressure temperature, chart with the specific gas that may be used in ship with the pressure at 131 degrees Fahrenheit, see with the 5 core with the ship with the pressure at 7 degrees Fahrenheit, way with liquid gas, fill the cylinders off the marked with check after disconnection cylinder of the filling line with the accurate scale of the requirements of liquefied petroleum gas filling density are as follows. And then it goes, subject with the 173.301 of the liquefied filling the density of the percentage of the described the section authorized and the factor of the two liquefied petroleum gas dot 3 cylinder dot 38 cylinders, marked 18 to 100 psi gauge, highest of the pressure liquefied pressure gas must be shipped in corn specification cylinder as follows: dot 3A, 3A, 3AA, 3B, 3E, 3AL, 4B, 4BA, 4B, 2B, 240. ET, 4BW, 4E, and 39 cylinders shipping with flammable gas dot 38 cylinders that authorized only when transported motor vehicle, rail car, cargo only aircraft. Instrument with the containers may be used when the limits of quantity of the pressure as follows. And then it shows verification of the content of the cylinder with the water capacity of 200 pounds with more than with the liquefied petroleum gas specific gravity of 504 thousands for the greater than 60 degrees Fahrenheit may have the quantity of the content to determine the thick of the length of the dip of the gauging device, length of the dip that must be used. Such for the liquefied petroleum gas specific volume of the 0.0351 cubic feet with the pound with the temperature of 400 degrees Fahrenheit filled with a container. Liquefied reach of the bottom of the tube with the weight of the liquefied may not exceed 42% of the water capacity of the container that must be stamped with the cylinder with the length of the dip tube. Express an inch of the carry down 1 decimal place with the prefix letter of the DT must be stamped with the container on the exterior. The removal of the type of the dip tube and for the purpose of the requirement mark with length of the must extra distance measured along with the axis of the string tube at the top of the boss through the tube with the insert with the proper level of the liquid and in the container. The length of each of the dip tube must be checked with and installed with weighing each of the container after filling separately installed with a group of the substantially identical the container which incapable with one each of the 25 containers must be with the container liquefied gas. Each of the container must be checked with the beam of the dip tube after disconnecting filling the line. The outlet of the dip tube may not be greater than 116,000 centimeters. The container represented with each of the day filling and the filing of the plan must have the contents checked with the weighing of the after disconnecting and the filling line. Carbon dioxide refrigerator like liquid nitrogen oxide the refrigerator liquid the following provisions apply with the carbon dioxide refrigerator liquid nitric oxide refrigerator liquid dot 4L cylinders contain the provision paragraph A authorized. Each cylinder must be protected with at least one pressure relief device with at least one frangible disc of the conformity 173.301 after the paragraph A2 with the section relief the capacity with the pressure relief device. The system must be equal greater than the calculated applicable formula paragraph 583 the CJS11. The temperature of the pressure of the gas time of the shipment of the and the transportation not exceeding 0 degrees Celsius, 290 psi gauge carbon dioxide, 4 degrees Fahrenheit, 200 psi gauge nitrogen oxide, maximum temperature transit not exceeding 120 hours. Following pressure relief device for the same with the design strip with the temperature with the filling intensity applied. Or 173.304 it be additional quantities. The shipment of the liquefied compressed gas with the UN pressure receptacle the liquefied gas with the gas pressure from the may up for the transport of the UN pressure receptacle subject with the requirements in section 173.304 additional UN receptacles applicable UN receptacles 173.301 301B with the must be met the UN receptacle filling the limit of the UN receptacle the most authorized transported liquid compressed gas with the gas mixture with the specification section with liquefied compressed gas mixture in the transport of the UN pressure receptacle with the filling ratio may not exceed the minimum of the filling rate ratio prescribed in the section applicable to the ISO standard complying with the filling limits of the determined reference of the numerical values data with the table 2 with the P2 200 UN recommendations alternatively maximum allowable filling limit determined as follows. For high pressure liquefied gas no passing with the filling of the ratio settled with as 149 degrees and test pressure UN receptacle. Low for low pressure liquefied gas filling factor maximum mass of the contents per liter with the water capacity must be at least less than 95% liquid at 50 degrees Celsius. Initial UN pressure recycled may not be liquid for 60 degrees Celsius. The test pressure of the pressure recycled must equal to greater than vapor pressure within 65 degrees Celsius. And for higher pressure liquefied the gas mixture for the maximum filling, the ratio determined using the Formula 3B of the P200 UN recommendation for the low pressure liquefied gas mixture for the mixing filling of the made with the determinative of the Formula 3C of the P200 UN recommendations. For a liquefied gas, the chart of the compressed gas, the both components liquefied gas, the compressed half, the take into consideration calculation, internal pressure for the pressure receptacle maximum of the contents per liter with the water capacity should not exceed 9% of the density of liquid favor the 122 degrees Fahrenheit. The addition of the liquid should not completely fill the pressure receptacle with adding with the temperature 140 degrees Fahrenheit with the filled with the internal pressure of the 149 degrees Fahrenheit. Not exceed the test pressure for the pressure receptacle. Vapor measure volumetric expansion of the substance of the pressure receptacle should be considered the maximum limit of the determined by using 3 EP200 UN recommendations. Tetrafluoride ethanol stabilized UN 10801 packaged with the pressure receptacle minimum testing pressure 200 bar with a working pressure 5 bar fertilizer ammoniation solution free ammonia UN 104 authorized UN tubes MEGC. Alright, 173.305 charging cylinder with a mixture of the compressed gas and the other material. The detailed requirements of the mixture of the compressed gas and any other material that must be shipped and compressed for the gas mixture is the compressed gas. The designated with the 173.115 when not the violation 173.301A. Filling requirements for the mixture of the liquid portion of the liquid compressed gas at 131 degrees Fahrenheit plus an additional liquid over the solid must be completely filled with the container non-poison. If there's non-flammable gas mixture for the mixture containing the compressed gas of the gas include the insecticide mixture non-poison. Not flammable one of the part must be shipped within a cylinder prescribed the 173.304A of this follows specification 2B with the 178.333 subchapter within top of the metal containers due to the safety release device type examined and per explosives approved with the associated administrator parked and packed edge and strong wooden fiberboard boxes such as design protect valves. Damage accidental function of the condition is and the transportation pressure of the container may not exceed 85 psi 70 degrees Fahrenheit complete with the metal container for the shipment of the heat within until the on top of the reach of the minimum temperature range of 130 degrees without evidence of distortion of the defect of the outside shipping container of the mainly marked with the inside of the containers comply with the prescribed specification. Number 2 is reserved poison mixture moisture contained with the poison material division 6123 with the portion of the mixture should be classified in poison 173, 115, 173, 132 must be shipped in packaging authorized with the poisonous materials. 173.306 limited quantity with the compressed gas, limited quantity with the compressor for the exemption with the permit of the main app over the reference 172.101 subject except with the labeling everything over the other offered with transportation transport with the air unless required as condition exemption with the specification packaging requirement subchapter of the package within corners of the following paragraph of the transportation aircraft packaging performance of the applicable requirements 173.27 of the package that has material for the other aboard passenger carrying aircraft with the transport limited the quantity of the initial shipping of the non subject with the subpart after the placard 172 subchapter part 174 subchapter 174.24 with part 177 the subchapter 177 817 except for the otherwise provided in section of each of the package 19 and 66 pound gross weight while when the container is not more than 4 fluid ounces of the capacity except for the cigarette lighter in addition for the exemption with a certain capacity of the liquid quantity of the ORMD has the class of the more provided with the paragraph I of the section when filled with refillable metal containers filled the material that is not classified has material that is not more than 90% of the capacity 70 degrees Fahrenheit with the chart for the non-flammable non-liquid gas with the container must be filled with 3 times over the 70 degrees Fahrenheit with the refill with the retest the 3 times with the pressure for the 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Also, when the following conditions must be met, container over the 0.95 liters capacity charge not more than 170 degrees with the 21 or 70 degrees Fahrenheit must be packed with a stronger outer packaging. Containers not over 114 liters capacity should charge not more than 75 psi or at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. When metal of container aerosol containers 171A with the subchapter of the definition aerosol with the authorized container now the specification .24P 178.33 with the .2Q with the 178.33A with the subchapter of the .21Q with the 178.33D subchapter design provide with the following conditions or additional exemption for the aerosol container prints in form of the paragraph A3 with the provided in paragraph I of this section. Capacity of the container with the 90 with the 1 liter with the general passenging condition of the authorized meat with metal aerosol containers associated pressure limited to the provided with the following table of pressure inside of the container may not exceed 180 psi gauge 130 degrees Fahrenheit except the mass authorized variation special container type of the event of the metal container must be capable of withstanding without bursting pressure at least 1/2 times the equilibrium pressure contents of 130 degrees Fahrenheit. The filled content with the material of the gas must be included with the completely filled container at 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Outer pack with the containers must be packed with stronger outer packaging. Pressure testing is except as otherwise provided with the paragraph that each of the container after filled with the must be subject to the test and perform the water bath, the temperature of the bath, the variation testing must be the internal pressure of the reach of the wood and reach at 131 degrees, 125 degrees. Liquid phase is 95% of the capacity of the 112 degrees Fahrenheit, 23 degrees Fahrenheit. The constant sensitive heat temperature of the bath must be set at 868 degrees Fahrenheit, 86 degrees Fahrenheit. In addition, the one container 2000 must be used. The higher temperature, no leak of the permanent deformation of the container may occur, but they have then instead of the standard water bath test, and the container may be testing even the one of the following given the method of the subject in certain conditions. Alternative water bath, one of the filled with the container released 2000. The subject of the tested performance hot water bath. The temperature of the bath, the duration test, some of the shows of the internal pressure would be reached at 131 degrees. Containers show the evidence of the leak with the permanent deformation and the loss for the lab 2000 containers must be rejected. The second filled container of 2000 must be weighed and compared with the weight of the specification of the container, documented with the operation, proceed with the weight of the container, meet with the weight specification, evidence of leakage, overfilling the lab of the 2000 must be rejected. Remaining with the containers, lab of the 2000 must be visually inspected. Examination for the seam of the container showing the evidence of leakage, overfilling may not be transported. Each person may employ, but must maintain a copy of the operating procedure with the electronic file with the thereof and accessible at thereof the principal base on place of the business must be practiced available upon the request at a reasonable time and the location of authorized official of the department. Automated pressure test with each of the pressure employing with the automated pressure of the pressure testing and fill the container that must develop the procedure implementation of the testing each pressure to maintain the copy of the procedure for the electronic thereof. The stability through it in principal play for the business may make the pressure procedure available upon the request at a reasonable time and the location. Authorized official of the department. The procedure must meet the minimum include instruction of the following pressure specification. Each of the pressure must be specify the standard of the pressure limit of the range contained with respect with the design of the contents of each container after the infill with the must measure for the check with the comparative to be the standard pressure limit of the containing exceeding with the pressure limit that must be rejected for a pressure range any container outside the set range must be rejected. The instrument or the may determine the pressure for the properly calibrated with the projection run to the accuracy of the or plus better. Periodic inspection designated interval. The randomly selected container must be inspected with the proper pressure. The verification filling of the proper pressure for the overfilling of 5 additional randomly selected with the container that must be inspected with the if any of additional containers will show some of them proper closure. The overfilling with all the containers producing single sign since the last inspection was rejected. Weight test for each person employed with the weight test available with the containers must develop the procedure. Proceed with the implementation of the test. Each of that test person must maintain a copy of the procedure or an electric file thereof. The accessibility at or thereof the principal play for the business must make with the procedure available upon the request of a reasonable time and the location. The authorized official of the department of the procedure must minimum, including the instruction of the following weight of specification. Each of the person specifying target weight of the specification particular containing each of the containers. With the weight with the comparative to the target weight specification of the container, each container outside of the target weight specification indication leakage overfilling must be rejected. Inspection with the determinant of the weight with the most properly with the calibrated with the testing run significantly insensitive to meet with the 1/10th of the gram the true weight of the container. The height testing of the pressure limits of the one container each will allow the successfully filled with the containers must be within the tap of the raising the internal pressure until the reach of the width of the reach of the 131 degrees. Lot size pressure be greater than 2,000%. Pressure of the container exceed the maximum pressure level of the container of the type of the container should be signed with the leak with the permanent deformation allowed must be rejected. Alternative to 5 additional randomly selected containers, a lot more than be test qualified and a lot, but if any of the 5 containers fail to test over the entire lot, but must be rejected. The periodic inspection interval not more than 10% of the random selected container that must be inspected with the proper closure. Verification filling pressure for the container shown with the assignment and pressure closed for the overfilling of the 5 additional of the randomly selected containers must be inspected with any of the additional of the container shown with the assignment of the improper closure. Overfilling all containers producing since the last inspection must be rejected. Visual inspection. Each container must be visually inspected prior to being packed. Any container showing the leakage of the permanent deformation must be rejected. Leakage test pressure leak testing before an easy empty for the container that must be shipped with the pressure for the equal to the extent of the maximum they expect with the failing containers of 55 degrees, 131 degrees Fahrenheit, 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Liquid phase is 95% of the capacity of the 122 degrees Fahrenheit. This must be at least 2/3 of the design pressure for the container. Any of the containers showed evidence of leakage. Rate equal greater than 3.3 times 10 to the negative n bar with a liter second. The test pressure for the distortion of the defect of the base rejected. Test after filing, the person filling in each of the containers for the crippling equipment of the appropriate specified propellant that used the propelling of the container to fill with the each container weight lead test leak detection equipment that must be significantly sensitive to detect least a leak rate with a 22.0 to 10 to negative 3 M bar at 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Filled with containers should show the evidence of deformation overfilling may be rejected. Each of the outer packaging of the package inside containers comply with the prescribed regulations. Gas sampling must be transported under the following condition. Gas sampling must be only transported down pressure. The gap of the pressurized corresponding with the ambient atmospheric pressure in the container is not more than 105 kPascals. absolutely no pressurized gas attacks. Attacks of flammable must be packed with a hermetically sealed with glass and inner packaging, not more than 1/3 of the gas, and overpacked with the outer packaging. Non-presidal unpressurized gas with the flammable must be packed hermetically and sealed with gas with the inner packaging, not more than 1.3 gallons. Overpacked with stronger outer packaging. For liquid quantity division 2 with the gas non-subsidiary risk, the non-dial specification. 2.7 of the plastic aerosol contained of the sub 171A subchapter. The definition of the aerosol will provide all the following conditions are met with the additional exemption of the aerosol conform in this paragraph. A5 of the provided in paragraph 1 of the section. Capacity of the container might not exceed 1 liter. General pressure conditions. The authorized plastic aerosol containing the associated pressure limitation will provide the following table of pressure. The container must not exceed 160 psi gauge at 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Container must be capable of withstanding without bursting pressure at least 1/2 the time with the equilibrium pressure content of 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Liquid filled with the liquid content of the material that must not exceed the complete fill in the container at 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Outer packaging must be packed with a stronger outer packaging pressuring test accepted by paragraph A56 of the section. Each container must be shoved with the test performed hot water bath with the temperature of the bath. And the duration test must be the internal pressure of the reach of the width with the reach at 131 degrees Fahrenheit, 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Liquid phase gas does not exceed 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Capacity of the container 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Content is sensitive to the heat of the container made with plastic material. The softened test temperature of the temperature of the bath must be 68 degrees Fahrenheit, 86 degrees Fahrenheit. The additional container of the 2000 must be tested at a higher temperature than low leak confirmed of the deformation container with the permitted except for the plastic container made leaf formed softening provided does not leak. Leakage test alternative to the hot water bath unless paragraph 855 of the section testing must be performed as foul pressure. Leak test before filling with the empty container must be subject to the pressure equal to the insects of the maximum expected in the filled containers of 131 degrees Fahrenheit, 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Liquid phase does not exceed 95% capacity of the container. 122 degrees Fahrenheit must be 2/3 of the design pressure. Container aim for the container showing evidence of leakage of the rate with equal greater than 3.310 negative m bar liter second. The test pressure and distortion of the defects and it must be rejected. Testing filler. Testing after filling prior to filling with the filler must be ensured for the crippling equipment as appropriate and specify the propellant that you with the filling with the container with the one filling each for the container must be weighted leak with depth leak detection equipment that must significantly sensitive to the detected least of the leak rate 2.0 to 10 negative. The third the leak of the A68 degrees Fahrenheit filling container with the show evidence leakage deformation except for the weight, but it must be rejected. Each outer packaging must be marked with the inside of the containers comply with the prescribed regulations, except for the food stuff of the soap of the biological, electrical tubes, audible fire alarms of the limited quantity of the compressed gases, except for the division 2-3 with exemption of the provided indicated with the reference to this. Section 172.101, subchapter the performance of the one of the following paragraphs, except for the label, except for the transportation, transport, aircraft specification, packaging requirements, subchapter for transportation, aircraft packaging must conform to the applicable requirements of 173.27. Only packaging of the hazard material authorized for the passenger carrying aircraft may be transported. Limited quantity of additional shipments are not subject to subpart F of the placarding part 172, subchapter part to part 172 to part 174. The subchapter 174 through 24, part of 1, 77, the subchapter except the 177 to 817, additional exemption certification, compressed gas, limited quantities of ORMD hazard class that are provided in paragraph 5 of the section. Food stuff of the soap of the soluble in multiplied compressed gases authorized the non-fit refillable metal with the plastic containers not exceeding 1 liter capacity provided with the pressure. Each container does not exceed 140 psi gauge at 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Unless other variation contained for the pressure range with a greater than 140 psi gauge, 160 grade psi gauge variation. 2P1, 2Q2, 178.33 C and D with the subject respect of the container that must be. However, there is the pressure content of the container may not be greater than 150 psi gauge, 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Plastic containers may only contain division 2 non-flammable, soluble, multiplied compressed gas. The metal plastic containers must be capable of withstanding without bursting pressure at least once of the half time. The equal pressure of the content of 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Container must be packed with a strong outer pack with the liquid content of the material. The gas must be completely filled with the container to 131 degrees Fahrenheit. Each outer packaging must be marked with the inside container to comply with the prescribed regulations. Cream and refillable material of the plastic container with the soluble, the modified compressed gas of the plastic container with maybe only container division 2 with non-fillable, flammable, soluble, emulsified compressed gas. The containers must be such a design that they would pressure the permanent deformation of 3175 psi gauge. Must be equipped with a device and design to relieve the pressure without bursting the other container with the dangerous projection of the part of the high pressure of the exemption. apply with the shipment offered with the transportation refrigerated motor vehicles only. Non-refillable material metal with the plastic container chart with Division 6-1 PG-3 with a non-flammable solution contained with a biological product with medical preparation could be deteriorated by heat and compressed gas. The gas is plastic form or container maybe with a container with 2.2 non-flammable soluble emulsified compressed gas, and for each of the container may not exceed 35 cubic inches and 19.3 fluid inch for the pressure for the container may not exceed 140 psi gauge, 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Liquid content in the product of the gas is not completely filled with the containers 130 degrees Fahrenheit. One completed container out of each allowed with the 500 less than fuel filled shipment must be heated until each of the pressure containing the equivalent with equalizing pressure with 130 degrees Fahrenheit must not in evidence of the leak of the distortion or other defect. Container must be packed in strong outer packagings and electronic tubes, each having the volume with no more than 300 cubic inches for the chart with the gas to pressure not more than 335 psi gauge packaged in strong outer packaging and authorized audible fire alarm system powered and compressed gas contained in the inside metal container were shipped. Authorized under the following conditions: each of the inside of the container must have the contents non-flammable poisons growth is defined under this part. Each of the inside of the container may not have the capacity exceeding 35 cubic inches. Each inside of the container may not have the pressure exceeding 70 psi gauge at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Liquefied portion of the gas must be completed with the fill inside of the container 130 degrees Fahrenheit, and each non-refillable inside of the container that must be designed fabricated with the burst for purpose not less than 4 times the chart of the 454 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Refillable with the inside of the container must be designed with the fabricated with the burst pressure not less than 5 times the charge pressure at 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Reserved refrigerating machine with the new used refrigerating mechanism component that expect with the specification packaging requirements of the part with the following conditions: additional shipment with the non-subject of the subpart of the part 172 subchapter, part 174 subchapter 174-24, the part 177 of the subchapter except the 177-80-17. Each pressure value not contain more than 5,000 pounds. Group A1 refrigerating class of the ANSI ASHR AE standard 15 not more than 50 pounds of the refrigerating over Group 1. Machine with the components that have 2 more charged vessels not contain the aggregated more than 2,000 pounds with the Group 1 refrigerating more than 100 pounds with the refrigerating other Group 1. Each pressure vessel must be equipped with a safety device meeting of the requirements of ANSI ASHR AE 15. Each pressure vessel must be equipped with a shutoff valve with each of the opening with a safety device with no other connection with the valve that must be closed prior to the during transportation pressure vessel manufactured inspection tested in accordance with the ASHRAE 15 over 16 inches internal diameter section 8 with the ASME code. All parts of the subject with the refrigerating during the shipment with the testing and so according to the ASHRAE 15. Liquid portion refrigeration aimed at the oven not completely filled with any pressure vessel at 130 degrees Fahrenheit amount of the refrigeration liquefied and exceed filling with density of the prescribed 173 304. Using refrigeration machine with the packaging preconditioned refrigeration machines UN 2857 Division 22 may exceed the market with the requirements 173 302C. Subchapters transport a motor vehicle with the conform of the requirements part described 173 306E. 1 prescribed the permanently attached to the motor vehicle and or permanently affixed to the seal base structure the permanently affixed to the trailer manufacture rigid internal structure the design of the transportation section condition that they do not leak, but they do not deteriorate, distort, and become damaged. The manner that could adversely affect the safety and reduce the strength of the transportation, cause instability. Staggered refrigeration machines cause damage of the machine with which we're likely to reduce safety. Transportation. 2. Testing. Using refrigerating machine determine the rental location of the man transport with the unauthorized original equipment in the manufacturer's facility undergoing maintenance and repair. Replacement renders the machine operational same level as non-refrigerating machine if the undergoing leak of the test the certified technical prior to re-shipment. Accumulators. Article 3 pressurized pneumatic hydraulic containing non-flammable gas. Following applied with accumulator with the hydraulic accumulators containing the non-liquefied, non-petroleum, non-flammable gas, non-flammable liquids pneumatic accumulators. Containing non-liquefied, non-flammable fabricated material with non-fragment with the upon rupture accumulator installed with the motor vehicle. The construction equipment that may assemble the machine with the design fabricated with the burst pressure of at least 5 times with the chain with the pressure of 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which shifted down subject with the requirements of subchapter. Accumulators sharp with the limited quantity with the compressor of the gas on the 200 psi gauge 70 degrees Fahrenheit except the label except for the offer of the transportation by air with the specification package requirements subchapter when shipped under the following condition. Additional shipment is not subject with the subpart F black part in 172 subchapter part 174 subchapter, except for the 174-24 part 177 subchapter, except the 177-87 subchapter. Each accumulator must be shipped inside with the packaging. Each of the accumulator may not have the gas exceeding 2,500 cubic inches. as for the store pressure. Each accumulator must have with the evidence of the damage for at least 3 times the pressure for the 70 degrees Fahrenheit, less than 120 psi initial shipment before each of the railing refilling shipment. The accumulators with the charging pressure for the 200 psi 70 degrees Fahrenheit complying with the requirements paragraph F2 with the section applicable except the labeling, except for the other transportation by air and by the specification pairing packaging requirements of subchapter with the ship down with the following conditions. Each accumulator must be designed to have fabricated with the pores for the pressure not less than 5 times the charge pressure for the 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The ship accumulator with the gas space with the next unit 100 cubic inch must be designed fabricated with the burst shell not less than 5 times the each for the charge pressure 70 degrees Fahrenheit. LGBT lot next unit 1,000 successful producing accumulators per day. The same type of accumulators must be tested in lieu of the testing paragraph. In F2.3 with the section as follows, and one accumulator must have as minimum design burst pressure for 2 accumulators, one at the beginning of the production, one of the must that be at least to do half the charge of the pressure without the evidence leak of distortion. If the accumulator fails, either the test an additional force out of the accumulation for the lot may be tested, and an additional accumulator with the fail must be rejected. An accumulator with a respect of 9 the 30 cubic inch that must be designed with the fabricated with the burst alarm pressure not less than 4 times the charge pressure of the 70 degrees Fahrenheit out of each lot, not exceeding 1,000 successfully produced accumulators per day with the same type of accumulators must be tested limited. Moving test from F2.3 with the section as follows. One accumulator must be tested the minimum design per pressure. 2, the accumulator with one at the beginning production, one of these must be tested at least 2.5 times the charge pressure without evidence of the leakage distortion. Accumulations fall either on the additional force set of the accumulation for the lot, but may be tested in additional accumulators fall with the lot that may be rejected. Accumulator that must be packed with a strong outer pack. The accumulator intended the function shock absorb the charge of the gases in the pneumatic spring with the other impact energy absorbing devices non-strip with the requirements of the subject provided. Each has a gas-based capacity of not exceeding the 1.6 liters charging gas 280 bar of the product capacity expressed in liters of the pressure expressed in the bar of the not exceeding 80 or half a liter of space of the 160 bar charge pressure, half the minimum burst pressure 4 times charge, the 20 degrees Celsius product with a half a liter gas space. And then I'm going to stop right there because we're on page 250 and I got company.